Welcome to Vanishing Gates. I am Jay, and this is.
The attrition Jack.
We are your hosts in the strange, the unexplained, the paranormal, etc., true crime, whatnot. Our other Our other
Co-host.
host, Katie Cat, is not here today. She will be here another day this week. We're going to be doing a couple movie reviews for you leading up to our Halloween movie review months, because Halloween is right around the corner. The season of miracles is upon us, folks. That's a big deal here at Vanishing Gates, as you know.
And I will not be here next week.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. I will be out of town visiting my wife's family in Washington.
Hopefully visiting some paranormal places and getting some pictures. Wink,
Yeah.
wink, nudge, nudge.
I wonder if Washington has any.
Oh, tons.
Lots of crackheads where I'm
Tons.
going, so I could theoretically film
We
crackheads.
just do that here. All right, so we do have a good topic today. It's been covered all over the place many, many times. Some of you are probably very familiar with it. Living in California, we like to essentially, once in a while, not always, but pull out things that are about California or that happen in California. And this is one of those cases.
Well, I mean, let's face it, there is nothing crazier in California than the horrible busted economy. But if you had to talk about something that was paranormal, you picked a good topic.
Yeah, so
Theoretically paranormal.
where we're at the very north part of California. So California is huge. If you have not been here or do not know how big California is, it is very, very large. It's one of the largest states in the union by far. I think Alaska is the only one bigger, and maybe Texas.
Is this paranormal or is it true crime?
This is unexplained.
Oh, unexplained. Okay, unexplained.
This is
crime,
in that
unexplained
missing
true crime.
411 vein,
Gotcha.
which I know is hella popular.
Gotcha.
And we get into that kind of thing. We do some missing 411 kind of stuff here. Everybody calls it that now because of Pilates too.
Yeah.
So it's cool. We'll just use it because that's become the term. But
You know,
unexplained.
Here's the thing. I like to think is people would say, well, don't, you should have your own sources on that and stuff like that. But, he there's just really no way to acquire as much about this stuff than what he acquired in his writing of these things. The amount of work he put into every single one of those cases is insane.
So hats
the
off
man
to Dave
knows
Pilates for sure.
what kind of rock was in almost every one of these goddamn cases.
I got to see if we can get him on as a guest one of these days. We've talked about that since we started the show, 8 years ago? 9 years ago now? I can't even remember.
He attributed, granite or something like that to, 60% of these cases or something like that. Almost all of them had,
granite,
some sort of rock or something, some sort of berry, some sort of, different...
He definitely put a lot together. But today, our topic is going to be the Yuba County Five, as it's become known. Now, on February 24th of 1978, 5 men left a basketball game in Chico at Chico State University. It's normally about a 1-hour drive, but the men never made it home. Now, Chico is about 5 hours from here. 4.5, 5 hours from here. Been there many times. There's a beautiful place just outside of Chico called Paradise. I actually got married in Paradise.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
The church is no longer there because of the fires.
Can I just say something that's off topic real quick that just occurred to me?
Briefly.
I picked up my cigar with my right hand, and I went and took a smoke. What was that? And I stopped and I went, why does this feel really freaking weird? And then I realized it's because this is your cigar hand, and your body does not want to hold your cigar with your dominant hand.
Fair.
It's so weird.
Cigar 411 with Jack.
That was strange for me. It was just really weird for me that your body does that kind of stuff.
It does. It's muscle memory. So, normally, 1-hour drive, the men never made it home. Instead, some days later, I'm not sure exactly how many, I should have written that down, but I didn't. A 69 Mercury Montego was found abandoned in Plumas National Forest. The 5 missing men, they were 32-year-old Ted Ware, 30-year-old Jack Madruga, 29-year-old Bill Sterling, 25-year-old Gary Mathias, and 24-year-old Jack Hewitt. The car belonged to Jack Madruga, but no one knows why it was over 2 hours out of the way, only to be abandoned and stuck in the snow. So now the boys, as the neighborhood people, the parents, the folks in the neighborhood, they got to call them. Each man lived at home still at the time. Were all in good physical health. They were very healthy, athletic young men, but they each had some mild mental disability. While Gary Mathias was a schizophrenic, which is not a mild mental disability until it's medicated, which he was, and we'll get into that. The trip to Chico was last minute. they were supposed to be headed to a Special Olympics tournament in Sacramento. They played on a team. They decided to go see UC Davis go play against Chico, and they hopped into the car at 5:40ish on that Friday. For the record, Davis was their team. That's who they were going to go support. I guess go Aggies. Not my thing, but go for it. Bill's mom went to check out. Oh, also, I think Davis won that game too. I think I read. So at least something good happened. Bill's mom went to check on him at 2 a.m. because normally that trip is not very far. But she realized that he wasn't there, so she started calling the other moms who were all having the same issue. They were all realizing the boys never made it home. At about 2 a.m., they were already understanding this. At 8 a.m., Jack's mom called Yuba PD, but they told her to wait to file a report. They waited until about 8 p.m., and all the parents together filed the report. After asking for public help, the cops learned that the boys had in fact left the basketball game. They made a stop at a market, and the clerk wasn't thrilled about it because they showed up at the last minute right before closing, which no one likes you for ever doing that. Don't do that. It's rude. They want to go home, you selfish butthole. Anyway, they bought snacks, and they headed southbound. The ranger that saw the car first, a forest ranger, assumed it was some skiers that had parked, because sometimes cross-country skiers will park in rural parts of California along areas that are known as wilderness preserves or whatever, forest, federal forest, state forest, whatever, and they'll go cross-country skiing, go back to their car. It's usually people that know the area, so it's not a huge surprise to see someone parked and ready to go. But then he got the APB, so he called it in, and sure enough, it was Jack's pearl turquoise and white baby. Jack loved this car. No one could understand why the hell they were so far out of the way. 70 miles one direction out of the way. That's a clip of direction.
That is a massive fuck up if they got lost. But here's the thing, you guys. Here's the thing. They were probably driving by map. What if one of them thought there was a shortcut or something? I mean, there's no GPS at this point. Maybe they're flying by the seat of the pants. Someone takes the wrong turn, so they just keep going, thinking that maybe they got off because they need to go to the bathroom or something, and then they missed the off turn, and then the person just thought, no, you know what? There's probably further down the road going to be another one. Let's just drive down it real quick, and then.
And we'll get to that because there is some speculation that says that. There's some thought back there. So let's get this picture of the boys. Yuba County 5.
Yes, the boys who all look like they're in their 40s.
They were young. They were young men as they read their ages.
Still like 40.
Well, you got to think a lot of these guys had. This was also in the 70s, dude, and a lot of these guys were, handicapped. So true. They were not dressed for the snow. They were dressed for a basketball game. Low top shoes, that kind of thing. T-shirts, things like that. No cold weather gear whatsoever. No supplies. And oddly enough, Jack's doors to his car were all unlocked, and it's something he never left unlocked. He just didn't do that. There were food wrappers, some maps of California, as you had mentioned. No keys, though, and more importantly, no the boys. They weren't there. The boys were not there. Upon inspection, the car was in fine working order. Everything was fine. They took it to a shop. They checked it. Mechanics looked it over. It was working fine. And searches were hindered in the following days due to heavy snowfall, which is not unrealistic or strange. If you think it's strange, it's because you do not know the area. It snows heavy. It's a ski area. It snows. It's hard to get through with a search party. It's hard to look for people in the snow. The footprints do not stay in snow. They fall because snow fills them. It's hard to find them. Tracking someone in the snow is not easy. Tracking anything in the snow over a long period of time when there's snowy weather is not easy. Doing it when it's snowing at night and then sunny in the day, it's different. But when it's snowing and you're looking, you're not finding shit. It wasn't until June 4th that some bikers noticed what they thought was a body wrapped in sheets on a bed of a Forest Service trailer. There was, in fact, the body of Ted. He had grown a long, thin beard, which is a difference from his normally clean-shaven face, usually well-kept. He had lost about 200 pounds, is what it says. I don't know how accurate that could possibly be. Looking at the pictures, it doesn't look like it's possible. But maybe he weighed 280. Ted? I don't know from the picture. I should have gotten their names written down. The cause was ruled to be starvation and hypothermia, so that would explain the heavy weight loss. The investigation also shown that he had been alive up to 3 months after the disappearance. So they were sheltered, they were eating, or at least he was, And he must have had water because you die really, really quick without food and water. You die even faster in the elements. So they found that shelter relatively quickly, or they wouldn't have made it. Now, the trailer was 20 miles from the car.
So how did they miss that in their search?
Well, you wouldn't have known to look there. It was 20 miles from the car. These men were on foot. 20 miles in the snow on foot, dude. 5 miles in the snow on foot is... A mile in the snow on foot sucks.
No, I got that. I'm just saying, like, they should have still looked.
They had no reason. They were just following what they had to follow. I don't know exactly... I don't have records of what the search party had noted, for the most part. So I'm not really sure what the reasoning behind any of that was. His feet had endured frostbite and swelling, and they found some of his personal effects, but not his shoes. His shoes were missing. When the search was able to continue, most of the others were found. Jack and Bill were 11 miles from the car, so midway. The cause of death was ruled hypothermia, so exposure, even though their remains were scattered around because animals are around. I mean, it's been months at this point when they find the bodies. It's unlikely you're going to find them intact. In fact, it's unrealistic to ever expect to find a body that just falls dead from the elements to be found intact. It doesn't happen. The fact they found any of it was impressive. Now, Jack Hewitt is especially a sad case, as his dad was actually the one that found him. He was part of the search party, and he had recognized a jacket that Jack would wear. His dad had been warned about joining the search party. Don't do it, man. You don't want to see it. You don't want to be here. If something happens, it's been too long. But his dad was not swayed, and Jack Hewitt was found 2 miles from the trailer, almost to the trailer. That leaves Gary Mathias. No trace of Gary Mathias was ever discovered, even after extensive searching. And we have a picture of him right up here. So let's pull that down and pull that down for now. It's really strange that this happened at all. It's not so strange that Gary Mathias is just vanished without a trace. As it might sound weird to you, but realistically, the woods are vast, man. It's real easy to get lost, to fall into a creek. And you fall into a creek of exposure, even in the snow, I mean, that your remains are going to get washed out, especially with snow melt. It's just how it happens. With animals, things get scattered about. It's not unrealistic. The entire campsite the trailer was on was equipped with food, warm clothing, and a butane tank for heating. However, the boys only found open sea rations cans. They only opened sea ration cans. They found sea ration cans that they opened. They didn't open anything else. Even though the dehydrated food that they could see wasn't touched at all. So they could find all of it, wasn't touched. They just got into the sea rations. The lock on the shed with the butane tank was still intact, so no one even tried to get into there to get the heater, or the butane, going. And even if Ted was unable to open the shed, the trailer had a fireplace, matches, and lots of paper inside of it. But there was no ashes in the fireplace to show there was no fire. There was no ashes anywhere. No one even tried to start a fire. Several details suggested that Ted was not alone in the trailer, and that Jackie and or Greg might have been there with him at some point. A possible explanation for the boys having veered off so far off course is that Gary did have some friends about an hour from Chico in Forbestown, California. It's thought that they took a wrong turn on the way and got stuck, which is what you were suggesting, what you brought up. So it's completely possible that Greg said, "Hey, I want to go see my friends." Or Gary said, "I want to go see my friends in Forbestown. Let's go. It's not too far away." And they just took a wrong turn. It is completely possible. Investigators seem to think that that's the case, that the boys made an easy mistake on the way to Forbestown. As none of the boys had ever been to Plumas, it didn't make any sense for them to be there, but it's not hard for them to veer off. It would be easy to get lost. There's a feeling that maybe a snowplow or a snowcat had gone off the road and cleared a bit of a path towards the shelter that they could still follow, and that they did follow it. Just 2 of them not making it the 20 miles. They think that 2 of them didn't make it, but 3 of them did. The idea is that the boys, being disabled, when they finally got there, the last 3, may have only eaten the bare minimum for fear of being in more trouble than they already felt like they were for trespassing or getting into someone else's stuff. I mean, these are guys with learning disabilities. You know, they don't think like survival. They think of, just trying to be polite and be nice people a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know for them specifically, but that's in my iteration working with people with handicaps in my past. Like that's a lot of the people like that.
Well, they probably saw the forestry label and then realized that it was a government, there was a government site. They thought, they were super cold. They probably didn't want to. They wanted to do the bare minimum there to not bring
But
too
I
much
think at that
damage.
point, the duress they're under, they don't even read the sign.
No, I'm saying I think they did read the sign, and then when they got in there, they were like, okay, well, let's try to do what we can in here. So they got in, but then when it came down to literally everything else, they were just like, well, we don't want to get in trouble. And I think
Yeah.
that's the problem. This is why this story actually, one of the reasons I always listen to it was because having a kid with autism, it's like it sucks because you gotta think what would they do in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to teach those kids, man. Like both of us have sons that have autism, and it's survival instinct is not great in any human,
No.
adult who's non-autistic or otherwise or handicapped. Survival instinct is a thing to a degree.
Well, hell.
And this situation is extreme survival. This is not simple. These guys got there with that autism wander. I'm not saying they had autism, but like that just going because I have to get somewhere. I have no choice. It's a thing they do. Whether they're thinking coherently about it or not, or intelligently, is not the case. They're not rationalizing what they're doing. They're just going because they know they need to get somewhere.
Well, I mean,
I think that's possibly what happened here.
if any of them had autism, I don't know. But the thing is, like any kind of a mental disorder or anything like that, it causes you to have a difference of thought. Like it's like dealing with a young kid. Like if I try to tell my 9-year-old, if you're in a desperate situation, you see something, you can break in. Like it would be almost impossible to get him to do that.
Of course, then trying to convince him what's desperate or not. So you got to measure everything out. So the authorities also believe that the way Ted was wrapped, I think it was like 8 sheets, that he could not have wrapped himself completely, which is true. It would be incredibly. He might. Shouldn't say he couldn't. It's unrealistic, and the authorities seem to take that belief, and that maybe Greg took Ted's shoes to go search for help. Gary completely vanished with no real trace whatsoever, and no one has any clue what happened to him when it comes to the authorities. It's interesting to note that Jackie's brother Tom believes that someone knew the boys from home, the hometown, had followed them and is actually responsible for whatever transpired.
What he claims.
That's what Tom believes.
Yeah, this is
Jackie's brother. Tom doesn't think Gary ever even made it to the shelter. He thinks that something far more sinister at the hands of someone local, and Tom is on record saying things like a very scary bully and suggesting someone had a grudge against him. It sounds like Tom has someone in mind from what I've gathered. I know he does talk about it in a documentary. I have not watched the documentary, so I don't know. I encourage you guys to look into that yourself. I think it's on Netflix. I have no idea what they call it. In my reading of different news articles and stuff, it was an excerpt at one point. Gary's sister Tammy, she dissents from that idea, man. She doesn't believe that at all. She thinks that Gary stayed with Ted, that they were best friends, and that Gary would not leave Ted's side until the last minute when he passed away, and that Gary at this point had been without his medication for weeks. So cogentin, stalazine, and proloxin. Gary is a schizophrenic, and all of those medications are used to treat various parts of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia I'm a little familiar with. Our dad is schizophrenic, and I don't know what he was on, but it wasn't working for him. There was a time where he was in a cast, and he was going around the house after we had left. We were in California, he was still in Oregon, and he was smashing things because his cast was talking to him, and he was seeing fires everywhere. It was very interesting. My uncle and my grandfather explained it to me. Very strange stuff.
So, here's the thing that you think about something like that is, the idea that someone could have done it to them. I would say that I think honestly, let me say it like this: I think somebody chased him.
100% possible.
Well, the reason I think it happened.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. But
If they do have some sort of a mental an issue, right? That may also mean they don't really understand danger, right? If there was a bear or something outside of a car or something
they
like
understand danger to a degree.
that, yes, But the thing is they would have understand to stay in their spot because they would wait for someone to come rescue them. There would
Not
be
necessarily, dude.
there would have been more than likely the idea because there's no reason to leave. If the car is fine and had gas, they had heating.
I mean,
they had a place to be.
There is more reason to dwell on what you're saying too.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll bring up here in a little while.
They have a place to be that is safe, that is secure. Maybe they don't have food, but the reality is that they were okay where they were, and they were not too. They were 70 miles out.
Had they stayed in the car, they would have been fine.
Yeah, they'd probably been perfectly fine.
Most likely.
They found them what, like the next day, or like within like a little bit of time?
Months later.
No, I mean the car.
Oh, the car right away.
They found the car like almost immediately.
Like right away. It was like the next day or a couple days later.
If they just sat in the car, that's what I'm saying. Is there had to be some sort of an external force that made them leave the car.
Well, they might not have been thinking rationally. They could have freaked out.
Especially with a guy who loves his car. He's not just going to leave it on the side of the road, unlocked, just chilling.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, man. So, but all of this also, especially talking about the medication, brings another interesting thought. Could Gary have had some fashion of schizophrenic breakdown? The coach of the Gateway Gators, Robert Pennock, suggested to investigators that Gary could have flipped out at any given time. Some people believe that Gary Mathias actually made it out alive and is still around to this day, and may even have been responsible, or is definitely responsible, for the fate of the other 4 young men. This is things that people are postulating and speculating on, and people do have some reason to believe this, I suppose. Gary had been in the Army. It's believed that he was at the shelter at some point. And the reason people think that he was at the shelter, they point to the use of the specific kind of can opener they use for the sea rations. It's a military-style can opener designated a P90. One I'm very familiar with. Growing up, our dad was an airborne ranger, and I ate a lot of MREs as a kid. Especially in the 80s, these P90s, you can get them anywhere. I had a necklace of them, like a dog tag style chain necklace with P90s on it that I carry on. I used them, I kept one and everything. I kept one until recently. I had one until months ago, and I can't find it. It's probably still here in the studio somewhere in the woodshop area.
Probably.
But, it's a really rudimentary thing. It's 2 pieces of metal. One's like a sharp hook with a hinge that goes to another piece. Really simple. Thin metal, easy to manufacture. That's why they exist. These things were very common then, especially for hiking, camping, or anybody military. Forest Service would have had them in their emergency shelters. At least all through the 80s. That's when I remember them being the most prevalent. I didn't live in the 60s or the 70s, so I couldn't tell you.
I mean, let's face it. They could have just been something in the forest range.
I think Mom had one in a drawer in our kitchen until the mid-90s.
The forest range could have just left it there just in case somebody needed to open a can. Like, it's not impossible.
Well, there's probably still a couple there. It's not. It's just something you would have. It's not like it's a crazy thing. So they point to that. Gary would have had to be there to learn to use that. Any of them could have known how to use that, even without survival instinct. It could have just been something that was a staple in their kitchens in that neighborhood. It's not impossible. So, Kathy Roberts is the niece to Jack Madruga. She seems to think the case is that the boys were scared of Gary, and they were too afraid to tell him they didn't want him to go with them on the trip. And they wanted to just be the 4 of them going. That's according to Kathy. She's even claimed to have seen Gary in less than a year from the disappearance and discovery of the bodies in a bar in Browns Valley, which is about 20 minutes from Yuba City proper. It's important to note that Gary has been ruled, as of 2020, though, a victim of foul play himself. There's no evidence to suggest that he was part of any wrongdoing outside of that. And this is next bit of excerpts that I have here is from the charlieproject.org. Really cool website. I suggest you check them out. So Mathias, and this is not all one line. This is in bits and pieces that I just have set aside. But this is all from Charlie Project. Mathias has schizophrenia and takes the antipsychotic medications Cogentin, Proloxin, and Stelazine on a weekly basis to control his mental illness. He is high functioning, but if he is placed in a stressful situation, his functionality deteriorates. Mathias has a history of drug abuse and violent behavior, and caution is advised when approaching him. Another note, this is me, none of Ted's valuables were stolen. His ring, necklace, wallet, and cash were all sitting right near him. There was a watch found that was missing the glass, but it didn't belong to any of the missing party, which is interesting. Um, More from the Charlie Project. It's worth noting that according to his family, Weir had very poor judgment and lacked common sense. Once, when his family's home caught fire in the night, Weir's brother had to physically drag him out of the building as Weir wanted to go back to sleep so he would be well rested for work the next day, which goes back to what you were saying about not always understanding danger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I think he would have sat fucking right there. He would have stayed right there.
Yeah, it goes on in another expert to say, searchers did find 3 wool Forest Service blankets and a rusted flashlight about a quarter mile northwest of the trailer. They found Matthias' sneakers inside the Forest Service trailer with Weir's body. Authorities think Matthias may have put on Weir's shoes, which were a larger size than his own, after his feet had gotten swollen with frostbite. An extensive search turned up no sign of him or his body. Matthias first showed signs of mental illness in high school and was hospitalized as a sophomore. Now, the reason this is focusing on Matthias, guys, is this is the Charlie Project's missing person page. This is his page for the missing person for the Charlie Project. That's why Gary's being focused on right here. It's not saying he's guilty of anything. This is just pointing it out because he's listed as a missing person there. He is missing. He's the only one that wasn't found. So Matthias first showed sign of mental illness in high school, was hospitalized as a sophomore. He joined the Army in the early 70s, but abused drugs consistently during his years in service, and his mental illness got worse. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and given a medical discharge. After his discharge, he returned to California, continued to abuse drugs, including methamphetamine, and was arrested and jailed multiple times for various offenses, including violent attacks on both men and women. He was hospitalized multiple times and had a history of escapes. Once in 1974, he escaped from a state mental hospital in his pajamas and watched and hitchhiked almost 100 miles to get home. Another time, he walked from Portland, Oregon to Marysville, California, a distance of 540 miles. There's no way I could do that. That's a long-ass trip. Even on the I-5 driving, that's a pain in the ass. His life straightened out after he began taking his psychiatric medications consistently. He held down a job at his stepfather's gardening business and also had disability pay from the Army. By the time of his disappearance, he had not been arrested or gone haywire in 2 years. He became friends with Hewitt, Madruga, Sterling, and Weir a few months before they all disappeared. Now, these guys were all friends prior. On a separate note, the 4 men's relatives believed it possible that Matthias is somehow involved in the incident that led to their deaths. Investigators don't believe Matthias is still alive, however. They stated that he always kept in touch with them, and without his medication, he could not have been able to stay off the grid even if he had wanted to. Matthias is presumed deceased, but remains classified as a missing person. And again, that's all care of the charlieproject.org. And from the site, the Charlie Project profiles over 16,000 cold cases, missing people mainly from the United States. It does not actively investigate cases. It is merely a publicity vehicle for missing people who are often neglected by the press and forgotten all too soon. A person must have been missing for at least 1 year to be listed. See the FAQ for additional information on the site, its goals, and its founder and administrator. Go check the site out. Help out if you can. Donations to the project, they said they're accepted, but they're never expected, and it is not tax write-offable. So you're donating to donate. You're helping them out to do something good. So there you go. That's my jip for that. And no, I didn't talk to anybody from the Charlie Project, so sorry if you don't like me sharing and telling them to give you money. But I'm going to do it anyway. I like the cause. So Gary, poof, without a trace. What are your thoughts on this, man? Like, just to speculate. Like, we've speculated over this whole thing. We've read it. It's all speculation, realistically. All we know is 4 men for sure are dead, and 1 is missing.
If I had to speculate, I'd have to say something chased about a car. Someone chased him out of a car. Because there's no way they're leaving that car otherwise. Unless he had a schizophrenic episode or he thought that if Gary was to blame, I don't think it was through malicious means. I think at most due to his survival and obviously his ability to travel great distances without a problem.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Perhaps he thought, hey, I know I could get back and I'll go get help.
I view it slightly different from there, but...
Well, my thought is maybe he thought that, and then the others, seeing how confident he was, thought, well, we'll just follow him.
Well, I would think that if that's the case, it would be different. I would think if that's the case, Gary would have coerced them to go with him to go find help.
Maybe he didn't want to go by himself.
Yeah, the snow was falling around, but this track from the snowcat's still there. He goes, "Hey, we can follow this trail. Just follow me. Trust me. Let's go."
But
And
the
if he
problem
was
is-
starting to slip because he was getting stressed,
Was the car even stuck?
they could have moved it out. They could have pushed it out, but none of them did.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
Allegedly, that's the story here. Anyway.
If the car isn't to the point where it couldn't have been removed. Like say it was. This is what I'm thinking.
It wasn't at that point where it couldn't have been removed, according to investigators.
So then that
I didn't
up-
write that here. I just know
that kind of
from
leans towards the brother's opinion, which is someone chases them out there. They think what happens is that their car is stuck, so there's nothing they can do.
Well, you
They
think
get
they'd
out
just
and
stay
run.
in the car and lock the doors, man. Unless Gary got hot-headed and hopped out
Unless somebody's waving a gun around or something, or someone shot at them.
and chased him into the woods, made him walk off into the woods to fuck with him. And
Someone
then
pops off a shot from a car, not aiming at them, just trying to scare them.
I wonder. Well, I wonder if it was somebody that went out to intimidate them and didn't expect them to actually be hurt.
My theory is that more than likely, it was somebody who, because people don't realize, like, when people talk about bullies generally are assholes, and they really want to scare you and they want to do douchey things, but they're not. Most of them, I'm going to say most of them, especially when they're older, they're just dicks.
I kind of want to try to get a hold of Tom and ask him who he thinks this bully is off the record. Because it sounds to me, from what I've read, that Tom has an idea.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have a friend or child or loved one who has special needs and they have a bully, you're going to know who it is. You're going to at least have an idea. Because one thing, especially in this day, I found one thing really, really cool with my son's disability. Because my son is super high-functioning autistic. Like leaning away from having some severe problems.
Well,
he still has some issues, but nothing as severe as a lot of people who are on the spectrum. But if a kid bullies him, we find out about it quick because all the other kids come to his defense.
yeah.
They will at very least, go tell his sister, which means someone's going to get beat up because my oldest daughter is mean. But we haven't had that many problems with bullies, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But when it happens, we know.
Yeah, but the thing is...
So that's why I'm saying...
But the thing is, what I'm saying is, when you think about it like this, right? So someone follows them out there, pops off a shot in the air, or these are really old cars. Maybe a backfire happens.
Well, that wasn't an old car back then, dude.
No, I mean, maybe the dude
an
driving
older
the
car
pickup
drove
truck.
and had a backfire. They thought they were being
Maybe
shot at.
because you know those old pickups, even in good condition, they can't have backfires. Those older style cars, they were
Especially
built,
in that weather, especially.
It's cold. The car just backfires. Something happens, and they think, and they got an army vet in the back seat. Shouts, they got a gun, or they're shooting at us.
Yeah.
And they all panic because of what he just said. They take off. This truck thinks, huh? Or just starts laughing. The truck takes off. And then these kids are in the woods. And this is the only reason I could think that they would leave their friends at the 11-mile mark.
See, I don't want to push everything on Gary, at all.
No. I'm not saying he
No,
did anything
but what
wrong.
I'm about to say is, I know it's geared a lot that way from what I've read. Here's the thing, man. I don't want to accuse anybody of something, especially if he's a victim here, too. Because he is right now. He's on paper as a victim.
Yeah, he's a
That's
victim.
what all the
Well,
evidence
you don't
says.
know.
He's a victim. There's no evidence suggests he did anything wrong. And I'm only bringing that up because it's a possibility of what happened. Again, this has happened in, 1978?
But-
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying
This isn't
is,
that long ago.
I wasn't saying he did anything wrong. I'm just saying he probably heard that. He's in his
Well,
right mind.
No, I wasn't saying you were. I'm saying what I was about to say is going to sound that way. Is what I was trying to gear towards.
well-
So what I'm about to say is we can't overlook certain things about Gary.
Yeah, no,
That's
no,
why
you
it's
can't.
brought up. That's what I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to say what you were saying with saying that.
Yeah.
I was trying to say on behalf of what I'm about to say, which is we can't overlook the fact that Gary likes to march. He's a marcher. The guy marches. He
like-
moves.
he likes
He
to
gets up
move.
and goes, man. If he
Like to
traveled
walk or
from
run.
Portland to freaking Marysville,
Yeah.
dude, that's a state.
On foot?
That's a well, he might. I'm sure he hitchhiked.
Well,
part
yeah,
way.
probably.
And he was high functioning guy. So
Even for schizophrenia, yeah, he was
he's intelligent. He would have known some things, man. He didn't get mustered out of the army because he got sick or broke a kneecap. Because he had a breakdown, schizophrenic breakdown. But he's been known to attack people. He's been known to have a serious drug issue. Yeah, he had many years without it. But under a high stress situation, maybe the other guys finally told him they didn't want him to be there. You know, one thing
Oh my God.
about people that are in
Could you imagine
that
a
are
situation
disabled,
like
sometimes
that?
they'll just tell you what they think.
You're in a car and you're stuck and you're having an argument with somebody and you tell him to fuck off, and so he goes the opposite direction, which is the correct direction, and everybody else thinks they're going the right direction,
Yeah.
and in reality he was going the right direction, and so everybody else just went the
Well,
wrong way.
Here's the thing about Gary, man. The other thing we have to notice, aside from that, to go the other direction with it, not say, like again to not just point that out, but aside from all this prone to violence stuff, he's never been found.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He would have shown somewhere. If he was out, the one gal saying she saw him, made eye contact with him. I think the bar actually belonged to her mom or something, or it was a relative's bar, or that worked at the bar or something. And she made eye contact with the guy like that same year. So it's like, but that could have been a mistaken identity. I mean, I don't know how many people looked like Gary in that day and age. I mean, we watched that.
Probably a few.
I watched documentaries from back then when everybody looked the same. I don't think that many people look like Homeboy.
No, he looks pretty unique.
He looks like an actor in a movie. That looks like a character played by an actor in a movie.
I'm gonna be
I can't put my
honest.
finger on it.
I don't feel like. Because here's the thing: people would say, "Well, he has something to do with this." Here's the situation, right? You're out in the middle of nowhere. You've gone way off course. You just put your car in a slight snowdrift, which you can push yourself out of.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, I mean,
you have
you have 5 people that are
healthy,
all
in good,
healthy
good shape,
and strong,
healthy, athletic people,
capable. They're athletes.
I mean, to make it 10 miles in the snow before dying, even that's impressive. To make it 20, I'm telling you, man, they were in shape.
They were.
These boys were healthy.
Something put them out in that woods.
Man, it could have just been a number of things.
No. But the thing is here's the thing: is Occam's razor is always the best way to go, because
Fair.
you can say that. So Occam's razor tells you this, right? Something scared them to go into that woods because there's one of them already shows that he won't even move for fire.
But that also, when you say Occam's razor, that still goes to a disagreement in the situation. You know what I mean? That's like
Not really.
We don't know these individuals, we never met them. You know what I mean?
No, I know, but I'm saying
So-
if you're just thinking of the bare essential for humans, right? And then you got to pull it down a little bit for people who are high functioning, but
Special
they're still
needs,
not
you know,
thinking
it's
in the
like-
direction you're thinking.
Yeah.
You're going to get them to. You got 5 people. You cannot get 5 people to agree on anything.
So one thing I want to say though, living where we live, especially rural Pacific Northwest in the winter, can be very brutal, especially in mountain passes. People die all the time because they get the hell out of their car
Yeah.
and they go try to get help.
There's
That is one of the dumbest things you can possibly do.
stay put.
If
Wait
you're
until-
lost in the woods,
At
stay
the
put.
worst,
Get shelter,
at
stay
the
put.
worst, wait until fucking morning.
What are the main rules of survival?
Always stay where you are, because the thing is they're gonna find you.
Well, that's if you're lost.
Someone
in the
will
woods,
see
yeah.
you.
If you're lost, yeah.
The likelihood
Hypothetically.
in the United States, you are going to have someone travel that road within the space of a day or two.
That is a road. It's a maintained road.
Someone is going to go down that road.
And this
and
is,
if there was a
again-
snowplow,
Again, fellows.
if there
that
was a
are-
snowplow out there, that meant that was a traveled road.
Well, if it was a snowcat, it doesn't. It could have been a forestry service thing that stopped an hour before.
Yeah, but the thing
And we
is,
don't know how much snow was going down when they stopped.
but if it had just happened, there's a likelihood that that cat's coming back too.
Well, they don't know that though.
But
But we're
here's
telling
the thing.
people now. This is our advice to you.
The only advice we can give you is this: people get the necessities wrong in a survival situation. Number one thing you do first, right?
Shelter.
Shelter. Why? Because the elements will kill you
Faster than
long
hours.
before food
Hours.
or water. Yeah, you got hours. You got hours to get to shelter if you're in a bad situation. You got hours.
I watched these the Alone show on is it Discovery or whatever like that, where the guys are like all survival experts.
It's a good one.
They're all survival experts.
How do they not do that well? That's what confuses me.
Well, okay, so camping in the Pacific Northwest is a different creature.
Oh yeah, they're in
So
a
that
bad.
I only
location,
watched
though.
the first season of Alone, and they're camping on
Actually,
the Cougar Islands.
I
in
know why they don't survive.
British Columbia. It's not
Let
easy.
me explain to you why they don't survive as well as they could, and I think I know exactly why it is. Why they don't do as well as they should, and that's just because they are literally in land where they're told you can't cut down trees, you can't do certain things.
They didn't
because,
tell them that.
No, you know they do because they can't kill certain wildlife because they still have to follow the laws.
On Cougar Island, there's not enough damage to the environment they're
No,
going to do.
but you think about it like this: is they still cannot damage the environment because there's still laws in Canada.
The first thing
they
that
have
gets
to
you,
follow the laws.
the first thing
while they're
that
doing the
gets
show.
you killed in a survival situation is panic.
Oh yeah.
Losing your cool is the first thing that's going to kill you.
That's why you'll watch this and
Period.
people will be like, they'll come across bears and stuff like that, and the person's just like, "Go away, bear." What they're trying to do is they're trying to keep their heart rate down. It's like
the bear will usually run away.
It's like if you're ever in a situation where you need an ambulance, you'll notice that the people who are coming from the ambulance, they're not running, they're walking to you. Why is this?
They don't want to panic you.
It's not just that they don't want to panic you, but when you have an adrenaline course from running, you start to make fucking mistakes.
Yeah.
They need to get to you with low adrenaline or no adrenaline, because they need to get to you and make everything in the proper time. Because if they start screwing up because they're starting to get jittery or twitchy, they got to be able to put things into you like needles. They got to be able to check you. And if they're making these small mistakes, so don't rush an ambulance member to get to your family member, because if they do, they're going to make mistakes.
Don't panic the person that's hurt.
Don't worry, they know what they're doing.
So what's the second thing you do for survival?
Shelter and then water.
Fire.
Is it fire?
Fire.
I thought it was water.
Shelter, fire.
Oh no. Yeah, well, I was included fire with shelter though.
I don't.
I always put those two together.
You don't do that. You're not going to build a fire in your shelter. You'll die.
No, you build a shelter, usually like a nice little lean-to. Put as much brush on top as you can. You try to get a good brush one.
You're gonna
and then about a few feet out, you dig a small hole, put rocks around it so you can keep the fire in check. Dig about like 2 inches down, I think, and then like that, and then throw brush in, and then throw sticks on top.
It depends on where you're at. Sometimes you want to be off the
ground. Now here's the thing: remember. You don't want to make, like, people get this wrong too, is the reason people are like, why do they make a teepee? It's oxygen. What you want to do is you need your kindling and you need your fire to breathe. Yeah. Remember that when you're making your fire, it has to breathe. The fire has to catch. If you just put a kindling in,
have a hole in the top.
People think that it's super easy to start fires, and even forest fires. It is a bitch.
Only when you're not trying to. It's really easy when you're not trying to.
Yeah, you can fuck that one right up.
It's not hard to start a fire, but definitely learn. If you haven't taken a survival class, I highly suggest doing it.
No. It is hard to start a fire if you don't have the things to start a fire.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So take a survival class if you haven't. Don't take one of the online courses. Don't go to like Detroit survival crap.
No.
That guy's any of that crap. Just really like talk to some people that know what they're doing. Talk to some airborne rangers. Talk to some military guys. Talk to people that talk to the Forest Service about survival hints. And if they teach your National Forest Service very well may have classes.
Here's the thing.
Firefighters.
The other thing that gets me is I do believe the Army, even in the 70s, had a survival course.
Yes, always have.
Which means this guy should have known, if they were in that state, exactly what he needed to do.
Well, he didn't go to basic in California. He was not in California. He wasn't stationed
No,
in
I'm still saying, like, even if he did basic, he should still have gone in basic training.
Well, it depends on how long he was in.
Because they do
it's
training.
It's not always the first thing you do.
It's several days in boot.
It's not always the first thing you do, though. He might not have made it that far before he had his breakdown.
That's true. But
if you're getting yelled at by a drill instructor too much, and you're not used to it, and you're not getting enough sleep, which you're not, if you're going through Shark Week, which they were still handedly doing back then, he might have just collapsed early.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly how long he was in. I don't think it was very long.
But the thing is, like, if he went through full basic, he would have had this knowledge.
Well, if he was an Eagle Scout or a Cub Scout.
Yeah, any of that stuff. But this is the thing is, like, this is what kind of, to bring it back to that, is it's one of those situations where they didn't need to leave the car. They just didn't need to. There was no necessity. If there was gas in the car, there was a heater. Mm-hmm. They had shelter. What would have been the point? And
even if there wasn't a heater, you have your body heat.
Exactly. They'd have been fine.
Huddle together.
Huddle together. You're fine.
You'll be cold, but you'll be found.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
They had snacks
for the majority of the time. They had something.
They might have also waited and panicked when they ran out of snacks. I don't know. You know, they found snack wrappers. They didn't say
they could have left an hour before they even found the car.
They would
have found tracks at that point.
Yeah, they would have found tracks unless it was dumping.
But this is the thing: is like there had to be some external force that pushed them to leave the car.
Well, and that ranger, we don't know if that ranger stopped to investigate the car. He might have just driven by and then saw the APB when he got back to base, which is what it sounds like happened. So there might have been tracks. You could be right. They may have just left, and he may have missed them. But I doubt it.
And if he didn't check
it for
that snowcat had come back, if that was the ranger and the snowcat and he came back, he might have plowed the road again and knocked all those fucking tracks out. If they had just had.
Well, he would have come across them. They stayed on the track.
Well,
that's how they got to the place.
So my thought is that I think something pushed them out, because here's the thing: they left their friends at the 11-mile mark.
Yeah, well, their friends died at the 11-mile mark.
Their friends were dying at the 11-mile mark, and they left.
Well, they could have just dropped dead too, dude. You can drop dead from hypothermia. It's
here's the thing: in this situation, you're how many of them? I don't know how many of them have autism. Obviously, one of them had autism.
Well, or something
The
similar.
one of them that was in the trailer had autism. He obviously had something.
Well, we don't
else
know
going
if he
on.
had autism.
Well, he had
I
something
didn't
like
look
that.
into what the disabilities were.
He had something like that, and his friends to die. For him not to just sit there and panic is another thing. What something moved him to continue on. Something had to, and if he already had these kind of issues, something had to push him.
So here's the thing. I bring up, and not disagreeing with you here. I'm just saying to clarify from my perspective, guys. When I say autism, I'm not bringing it up because that's what anybody said. I'm just saying that because I can directly relate day to day to that. I have had experience helping with kids with Down syndrome and various other forms of learning disabilities. So there's a wide variety of possibilities of what was wrong. None of these guys had Down syndrome. You can tell just by the pictures. I know that sounds mean, but it's a fact. If you've ever been around people with Down syndrome,
Generally speaking,
physically
they match
different.
the same. Yeah, they have a physical.
Yeah, a very physical difference. Sometimes it's very close. You see that Down syndrome model, Jack?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, different topic for a different day. Anyway, guys, so let us know what you think in the comments. If you haven't liked and followed and shared and subscribed yet, please do. Subscribe to this show on YouTube. We appreciate you. We need your help because we are trying to grow. We've been doing this for almost a decade, and we're taking it more seriously than ever before. As you can tell, we have notes and pictures now that we put up.
We're actually
used to do that.
moving forward now.
Like I said, Katie Cat couldn't be here. She said she misses you guys and can't wait to be on the next show. And give us some comments, please. Let us know what you think happened here. And if we got any of these facts wrong, please clarify it. Let us know. If you know the families or if you're somehow connected, feel free to contact us. Reach out to us because I would love to pick your brain. I would love to hear what your thoughts are, especially if you're directly related. I mean, this is not an old case.
No,
It's an old case as far as a cold case goes because it's so long. I mean, 48 hours is hard to find anything at this point. But that's mostly a homicide, I'm sure. But, keep the lookout for Gary if he's still around. Maybe he just needs help. But these are the boys, man. They seem like nice guys, man. All of them. Everybody seemed to say they were nice, happy dudes. They all seem, aside from Gary, even Gary towards the end, I guess, he seemed, the end, I shouldn't say that, because there's hope.
We don't know.
There's minimum hope, but there's possibility. He is another victim here. Even if he was still alive, he may have just marched on, and God knows where he ended up. For all we know, he's in Tijuana, just living it up, drinking margaritas.
Years old. Yeah, perfectly fine now.
He could be living behind your mall, dude. Like, you never know. Like, I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying
behind our mall.
Yeah, there's homeless people that pop up that have been missing for decades that show up, and suddenly they're found. They've just been homeless.
Yep.
And they went a little nuts, and especially around this time, like in the 80s, things started shutting down and changing for mental health in California. But anyway, so this has been Vanishing Gates. For Katie, I'm Jay, and this is
still Attrition Jack.
Yeah, he's mad about Age of Empires earlier. Are you down for that again? I'm down. I'm going to play. If you want to play, I'm playing.
This is so annoying, man.
Anyway.
I can't believe you didn't just quit.
All right, guys. The season of miracles is upon us, so don't forget the Halloween stuff. Let us know also in comments what topics you want us to cover next. And if you have good sites and stuff, let us know. I will absolutely look up any topic you guys send me. I will probably not click on any links, so don't do that. But give me topics. Give me some ideas of where to look. We'll look into it, and we'll have a good show. All right. Good night, and good nightmares.
Goodbye, everybody.